Perfect. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's been a long day, I know, yeah. So we'll try to make this as specific and concrete as possible. We're gonna do the presentation between the two of us. I'm probably more representing the power element in here, and he's the cyber guy. Yeah. So any difficult questions to Philippe, please. Yeah. What we're gonna do is I'm just gonna spend half a minute on introducing who we are, but because I think that's important for you to know. We're then gonna look at what we see as the cyber risks in the power industry. We're gonna introduce a very specific standard to you, which we believe you should know and how it's gonna be applied. And then we're gonna very specifically look at a case study, which makes it a little bit more tangible for you. Maybe what audits and certification and standards can do for you in terms of cybersecurity in the power industry. So who are we? We've been around for quite a while, almost 200 years, more than 100 years in the power industry. So we've been dealing probably over the years more with topics like concrete, steel, copper, and glass fiber, plastics, rather than cyber topics. But also for us, this topic is becoming more and more important. Customers approach us. So we are the ones who in the end, so it's been a lot of talk about concepts and certification, etc. during this afternoon. We are the ones who finally certify you and issue the certification. So we are what we call the TIC industry, the testing, inspection, certification industry. So we deal with conformity assessment in the widest sense of the word. So we look at assets, systems, people, and assess whether those are in conformity with a law, a regulation, a standard, or increasingly also industry best practice benchmarks. We do that through different kind of methodologies, testing, inspection, but also certification and also technical assistance. And we do that throughout the whole life cycle of a product. So the development of an asset, the construction of an asset, and then of course the operation and even the decommissioning if necessary. We are a global business, so we bring with us obviously also the visibility of what's going on in many different areas of this world, and especially when it comes to certification and harmonization. That's an important aspect because as some of the presenters pointed out earlier today, different geographies sometimes go for different approaches, and it's also part of our job to make sure that we get a little bit more harmonized across the world and work towards common standards and common approaches in the industry. Why do we believe that we can help? So as I said, we've been in the power industry for a long time. We are touching most of the elements of the industry, so generation through all the different kind of technologies, the old part of the industry, conventional and nuclear, but also wind, solar, and other associated renewables technologies, and also transmission distribution. Today, I think the focus of most of the presenters were more on the smart grid or even on the smart meter, but we think there is much more to the power industry in terms of cybersecurity. Generation is a big topic and it's not been touched so much today. So we will base our case study on the generation part of the industry. So we have that part of our industry. But when I got increasingly confronted with my customers on cybersecurity issues, I got a little bit lost, so I brought Philippe in because Philippe is looking after one part of our business which has been having much longer experience with important topics related to this industry. We call it Smart World in PV, but Philippe is going to explain you a little bit more what it means for us.
Okay, thank you. So in BV, we are involved since a long time on Smart World. It means that we are able to provide testing, certification, and inspection in different areas. For example, in the Smart World, we deal with all related to connectivity. Bureau Veritas is involved in many certification process, coming from cellular certification under GSMA certification. We have also OTA testing, and for each test we provide, we are also able to issue certification. We make also conformance testing for IoT, smart grid testing. Regarding the smart grid, Bureau Veritas is also able to address many tests on this sector. For example, environmental testing, EMC testing, wireless testing, and cybersecurity is a new part of what Bureau Veritas can also address. And so we are also fully involved on testing and complete certification related to IoT and cellular technology. So now I will introduce cybersecurity risk and IoT, industrial IoT, in the how it's the security. What is the impact of the security in this industry? As you know, there is a lot of connectivity now. If you look at in this exhibition, a lot of solutions are linked to connectivity and IoT. I think as the connectivity and the digital is increasing, the risk regarding security is more and more important, and we need to take it into account during the development and the development and the manufacturing of the product. As you can see in this slide, you have a lot of equipment in the industry which are connected together. It is very important to take into account the risk related to the security, because suppose that one part of this plant will present weaknesses. It can be a window or a route to enter into the system. And if we try to compare in the past before getting more and more connectivity, the main risk we had in the industry was risk about quality of the product manufactured. We have some risk relating to the people, health, safety, and other risk linked to the environment. And now, due to the proliferation of connectivity, we have more connectivity. First, before to think about cybersecurity in terms of connectivity, we need also to take into account what we are calling coexistence radio, because suppose in this part we have a lot of connectivity, we must be sure that all the equipment used in this area will operate normally without interference, without blocking, without jamming, and so and so. Connectivity is a new risk we need to take into account, and cybersecurity also became a very important part of that, as explained before during the last presentation. And there is also all topic related to accountability and the quality of the services. We can add also interoperability and and some other topic coming from digitalization. And I think regarding the security, when we are talking about the cyber resilience, we need to make it's very difficult to isolate security. We need to take also the safety and the security. Before security problem, we talk many projects when in the past before the digitalization, most of the projects are manufacturers with taking into account the risk of accident. You know, it is the reason why most of requirement taking into account was on the system, the software, and the human, because the main risk was accident. The main risk taken into account was accident. Now, with the digitalization, we need to take also the risk coming from the connectivity, risk due to the fact that the product is connected to the internet, and so and so. Is the reason why cybersecurity is a very important point. Is the reason why we need to define the target, the kind of protection we want to meet, and also we need to take also into account the ability and the skill of the offender. It is a very important part in the cybersecurity risk analysis.
So this is the first time when I really started seriously thinking about this topic. There was I guess many of you know this Black Hat conference on security, which has been the industry leader on many of the thought process here. So in 2017 there was an interesting paper. There was a group of researchers from a university in the US who brought forward a paper on how easy it is to hack a wind farm. So what they did, they showed very clearly in that paper, in that presentation, that it's incredibly easy to access first a wind farm, plug into a Wi-Fi model, and by that getting remote access to that wind farm. So they demonstrated that on a number of wind farms operating in the US. They also demonstrated that enabled them very easily to listen to the communication between the wind farm and the control room, and further to that, because of the communications architecture, how wind farms are being built, they were not only in that specific wind turbine they entered, they could access the whole wind farm, so all the wind turbines. And once they had done that and understood how the control room communicates with the wind farm, they could do practically everything they wanted. They could, speed up the rotation of the wind turbine and practically get it exploded. They could switch it off, so they could really control. And what would it mean? They could really influence significantly the economic impact of that wind turbine and either lead to a huge loss of revenue or ask for ransom to the wind farm operator. And that was for me a moment of where I thought BV really needs to start to seriously think how we can help our customers to overcome that problem.
Okay, first of all, before to come and present which kind of certification we can apply, I just want to introduce the cyber risk and how we can address it. In fact, it's very difficult to separate the security of a system. Of installation or of system, because today there is a different part on the system. During the last presentation of this afternoon, we present OT system, IoT system, and the last presentation was about smart meter. All of those equipment are inside this process. What we can say is that it's very difficult, as I say, to isolate it. We can consider the operational technology and the IT technology. Let's check what we can have in a system like a power plant. We have the IT system. The IT will manage the information, data, office, computer, server, networks, and so and so. And in the same part, you have also the IoT. IoT means that device we can have and device which can be connected to the system. For example, if I take the example of the smart meter, the Linky product or the smart meter can be connected with an IoT like a cellular or I don't know, maybe Wi-Fi equipment to collect the information remotely. And this is a part of the system linked to IT. And in the industry, you have the other part in which there is operational technology, industrial control systems, SCADA, and so and so. And in the last from the device side, you have the probe, the device, the smart sensor, and so and so. This is the main, I think, segmentation of the power industry, and we need to take into account both parts. To the cyber industrial, the cyber risk need also to be considered because IoT now is a gateway to all the infra, the system used in the installation. For example, from 2000 next years, 25% of attack will use IoT to reach the product. This is a typical schematic of the infrastructure, and as you can see, you have on the bottom of the part of the schematic the connectivity, the communication channel, and each communication channel can be a way to reach the product. Now let's go to introduce how we can mitigate and limitate the risk relating to cybersecurity. In Bureau Veritas, we are, just to introduce, we are certification body, national certification body, and in France, Bureau Veritas is national certification body linked to IEC scheme. And from 2017, the standard IEC 62443 it became now a part of this scheme. Just to go, this is just to introduce, but I think this afternoon we have a very large explanation and presentation related to Cybersecurity Act. I will just show this slide. And now, before to introduce the IEC 62443, just give you an overview of the cybersecurity standard we can have. As you know, we start for IT and IT governance from ISO 27000. Regarding the system installation, we go to IEC 62443. We have the presentation ISO related to common criteria and CSPN in France. And after, relative, if you go to each part of the industry sector, we can have some specific standard related to marine, aeronautics, automotive, and other parts, smart home, soon, and so and so. This is the global introduction of standard which can relevant and can be applied for cybersecurity. Just this picture, before to go deeply on the IEC certification, just give a global overview of the different type of certification we can have. IT is more linked to ISO 27, and there is also for system IEC 60443 and the common criteria. Through this chart, it gives you a global overview or regarding each part of cyber security, how each standard address them. For example, if we take basic requirement related to organizational, product, OT, technical, and so. Through this slide, you can see how each of them can be addressed by the standard. Now, what I want to focus is on the IEC certification. As I explained, those standard was built a long time ago from first by ESA, and now ESA work closely with IEC, and now the standard, those standards are in the scope of IEC, and those standards cover a very large part of the industry. You have the first part starting by -1 are more general. After you have the second part, part 2 is more dealing with policy, procedure, and global requirement for YACS product. And after starting to part 3, you have requirement regarding system, and part 4 is more linked to component or product. Okay, and these standards now are used on international certification scheme, like for example, just to complete my explanation regarding the segmentation of those standards, you have the global and general part more relevant for all power gen stakeholders, asset owners, service provider, system provider, and manufacturer. And after you have a relevant part more linked to management system and component. And after, when we go to part coming from part 3 and part 4, we have standard for system and component, and for each of them there is a specific security level which will depend of the type of the product and or the system or the security we want to address on the system. As I say before, now those standards are coming in force in the IECC CB scheme. It is a specific scheme of certification scheme I will explain after. But for your information, maybe just before I will introduce this IEC scheme. The IEC EE scheme is a scheme which are established a long time ago. For the time being, this scheme is applicable for a very large requirement of the industry, like safety, electrical safety, EMC. Soon it will be applicable also for connectivity. And since 2017, it was applicable for cybersecurity, which became a big part of this scheme. As you know, as you can see, this scheme is an international scheme. There is about 65 countries which recognize this system and which implement this system. And it's very easy when, for example, you want to make a mutual recognition agreement to use this system. Okay. Just to conclude, okay, the key message I want to say is this international scheme is well established and can be used to assess cybersecurity of system or component. Okay, just to show you a case study we made in Bureau Veritas, as Jörg showed with the system of sorry, as Jörg showed during the presentation relating to the system, we explained that what can be interesting and show how we can use this type of certification is that the system we show previously, if we could apply the certification before, several parts fail on this system would be avoided. For example, the accessing of the product can be entirely covered by some clause of the standard. Physical entry control is covered by a part of the standard. Identification, authentication are a strong part of the standard. If I take, for example, the listening, some mitigation could be are covered by some clause of the standard. It means that if the manufacturer was applying the standard or made assessment according this standard before, it would avoid a lot of non-conformity and make that the product will be accessed by the hacker. And also, regarding the propagating, a lot of deviation are already and well covered by some clause of the standard. Wireless access management is covered by the standard. Authorization, wireless use control. And this example is a very simple example, but as you can see, a very large part of security are covered by this standard. And just to conclude regarding this standard, we have in Bureau Veritas a tool coming from the standard. And just to explain you, on the right of the slide, you have the analysis summary. If you consider every requirement of the standard, you can fix the target. You know, in the curve in blue is the target we want to achieve, and red it's what we got with the equipment. And as you can see, the product is widely below the target we fix to satisfy and avoid the problem, the wide farm attack. This is an example we can build, and we can take every clause of the standard and use this kind of tools, which are very useful to implement a solution to avoid that. Thank you for your attention.